Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And we have some beautiful weather yet today. So thank you for tuning in. As always, so we will just jump right into the video today. Today I wanted to talk about some of the fad diets that are kind of going on right now. So you've probably heard about most of these. They're not too, obscure out there. They're very common. And we're just going to talk a little bit about what each of these diets are and I guess some of the benefits or downsides to each one. So without further ado, we're going to kick it off with the keto diet. So this has been become very popular in the last few years, as well as more recently. So this diet is characterized by the fact that it is high in fat, in the fats you eat, low in the carbohydrates, so you really limit your carbohydrates, and then you have moderate protein intake. The reason it's the keto diet is why it's called keto, is because the reduction in carbs that you eat actually sends your body into ketosis. And what happens is your body becomes more efficient at turning fat into energy. So that is why they call it the keto diet or the ketogenic diet. If I'm being completely honest, it's really hard to tell if your body is in ketosis. You would likely have to do a blood test each day just to, really see the levels, really see how much ketones you have. If for some people it really, really works and really helps, for others it might not. It really kind of depends on the person. But it can be very hard to maintain this style of a diet, just because it is such a drastic change from, what your body is used to. I don't know for sure. I've never done it myself, but I've heard that, the first week or so of the keto diet, you will kind of feel crappy. Your body is going through some pretty big changes. So I believe from what I've heard is your energy levels are kind of blah, and things like that. So just wait it out if you're planning on starting the keto diet, or if you're just starting it, or wherever you are, just give it some time to kind of start working. Next, I wanted to talk about the vegan diet. So again, another one that's more popular. This diet eliminates all animal products, so like meat, fish, dairy, eggs. I even saw honey. So this is why it's typically referred to as the plant-based diet. This can be a very easy diet to maintain nowadays because there is so many, alternatives, like meat alternatives, and, food processing obviously has gotten more advanced and better over the years. And individuals on this diet tend to have lower than average body mass indexes. That's one thing to keep in mind. And then definitely be sure if you're, on a vegan diet, be sure that you're really checking out those food labels that you, of the foods that you're consuming. Some of these vegan labeled foods can be very highly processed, just because they are alternatives. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be bad for you. And also, just keep in mind that just because a food is considered vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. So just like I mentioned, a lot of the processed foods or beverages obviously are not animal-based, so they are considered vegan, but you don't want to go hog wild on those types of foods because they're unhealthy. And the last one I wanted to talk about is intermittent fasting. So this has been around for a long time. I've seen it. It's been pretty popular with quite a few people that I've known. It's pretty easy to adopt this kind of eating style. There aren't many big changes. It's just you're essentially just limiting the amount of time you spend eating a day. So you're just essentially fasting for a period of time. So say you wake up and you decide you're going to fast in the morning, and you're going to have your eating period, later on in the day. So you wouldn't eat any food when you wake up until, let's say, 12 o'clock, noon. You're going to eat, and then you're going to eat until, 8 o'clock. So you have essentially this window of time that you can eat, and then you're fasting the rest of the time. So I wouldn't necessarily start with that limited of time to eat. I would start on the lower end, start with like 8 to 10 hours of fasting. So that could just be overnight, or, stop eating at 6 p.m. or something, and not have any food until the next morning at 6 a.m. or whatever. It kind of, you're going to need to adopt it to your lifestyle based on, your job, and if you have a family and these other types of things that are going to impact when you might eat. But then you can eventually work your way up to, anywhere from like 12 to 20 hours of fasting, which is a pretty significant amount of time spent not eating. But it can be very, very beneficial. There have been studies that show fasting can help with weight loss. It can help with focus and energy. So it can be very, very beneficial. When you are fasting, you definitely need to avoid those caffeinated drinks. So if you're a coffee drinker and you're fasting in the morning, make sure you have decaf coffee, because caffeine acts as an appetite suppressant. So your body isn't really essentially, you're kind of you're decreasing your appetite, so your body doesn't get the same effect as it would if you were actually 100% fasting. So one helpful tip that I saw when starting out fasting is to have a glass of water right away when you wake up. I think it just generally gives your body that wake-up call that it needs. You're obviously starting off your day hydrating, which is always good. So again, start on the lower end of the fasting spectrum, 8 to 10 hours, and then work your way up from there, depending on your body and your lifestyle. So just a nice broad overview of 3 fad diets that we've seen in the past couple years, and to kick off 2020 here. So thank you all for tuning in today. It was great to be back after a long weekend. And especially back to some nice weather. So get out there, enjoy the day a little bit, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video. Take care.